Yo, what's going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more Katawa Shoujo. Last time we left off, we met, I believe, three of the other girls, and Misha and Shizune, they wanted us to join the student council. So we're going to be picking up from there. And also, Kenji is an incel conspiracist. So there's that. Yeah, that's about all that's happened so far. I feel like the game is starting to pick up more as you meet more characters. I feel like the start of the game was a little bit slow. Obviously, I understand you need to introduce the character and story and all that, but just a little bit drawn on for my liking. I need to load, not start game. Is this the right one? Yes it is. Let's do it. I feel very tired this morning. Probably because yesterday itself was a very tiring day. On top of that, I woke up far earlier than necessary. After saying hi to Shizune and Misha, I start doing the work as instructed from the board. It already looks like the day is going to be heavy. I don't have a problem with that for now, though. Shizune and Misha might jump on me trying to get an answer about whether or not I've decided to join the student council, even if it is just one day. I wouldn't put it past them to try, and I don't have an answer for them even if they do. So, this situation is convenient for me. About 10 minutes into class, Hanako walks in and takes a seat, but no one looks at her. The teacher doesn't even comment on her lateness. He does, however, stop us to say that we're going to break into groups again. I turn my head and see that Shizune and Misha are looking at me. Shizune gives me a smile that is equal parts cute and menacing. This is a smile that says, "We have you now, there's no escape." "Hee-chan, it looks like we're together again! Yay, yay!" Misha leans sideways while Shizune pushes her desk closer to mine. There really is no escape now unless I jump through the window. Jumping out the window isn't the best option, sadly. "What's wrong, Hee-chan?" Ugh. "Oh, Hee-chan, have you been thinking about what you said yesterday? You said that you would think about joining the student council, didn't you?" "It's okay, Hee-chan. We were talking about it after you left, and it would be rude to expect you to already have an answer for us this early, right? Right?" I'm so happy you two are able to have a laugh at my expense, and even more pleased to know that you both know how crazy the two of you can be. Now that that's over, Shizune snaps back into serious mode and smacks today's assignment with the back of her hand in an overly dramatic and important way. When I actually look at the stuff, it's mostly just reading. In fact, there are only two problems. I almost want to say something about how her rush to get started seems a bit much, considering the small amount of work. In fact, Shizune probably knows how little there is, and simply doesn't care. Yeah, it seems like the workload doesn't matter to her as much as the fact that there is work. The actual amount is unimportant. She approaches everything with the same level of ambition. While I'm reading, I let my eyes wander around the room and catch Hanako trying her hand at solving the problems. It looks like she's working alone. I can't remember seeing her working with other people before. Thinking back to how shy she is, it's understandable. Hey, that girl over there. Huh? Who, Hee-chan? Her, Hanako, over there. Does she always work alone? I think so, Hee-chan. Do you feel sorry for her because she's alone? I was just thinking that maybe she could work with us or something. No, I don't think that would be a good idea, Hee-chan. Why not? Shi-chan wouldn't get along with her. Why? Misha shuffles around the question, letting out a laugh that sounds very strange. It's nervous, but still has that lilting up and down quality present in everything she says. Just because, Hee-chan. By now, Shizune has noticed our conversation, and it makes me realize again how Misha has been signing everything she's been saying this whole time. What, Shi-chan? The friend of my enemy is my enemy? That sounds so harsh. I'm not going to say that. You said it anyway.
I know, Hee-chan. It's fine if you over here.
I wonder if this is Misha's way of keeping things fair, since without her, I wouldn't be able to understand a thing Shizune is saying, and vice versa. Is that also why she signs all the time, so there's never a conversation Shizune will be left out of?
Anyway, we should probably start on the problems now, Hee-chan.
We finish with time to spare, and I decide to ask if there are any alternatives to the cafeteria, as frankly, the food so far has been subpar. This sends Shizune and Misha arguing among themselves about their favorite restaurants. All of them are downtown, so I don't think we have time to go all the way there. And what about the bill? Are they arguing just for the fun of it? Maybe. They seem so distracted by it that they don't even notice the start of the actual lunch break. I look over my shoulder towards the back of the classroom. She seems to be studying her notes from the previous class. It's an odd sight. Everyone else in the class is busying themselves with the lunch break, socializing, gossiping, rearranging desks, the ones with actual boxed lunches mixed in and chattering like everyone else, only interrupted by short bouts of eating. But when I watch Hanako, it feels like I'm the only one who can see her, almost as if she was invisible, sort of hiding in plain sight. Is she being bullied? Is she isolating herself from the rest of the class on her own accord? I see her looking over her shoulder towards the classroom's rear door. Come to think of it, she hasn't turned a page since I started watching her. I guess she's waiting for someone. What to do? Huh. So I could just mind my own business, talk with Hanako, or wait for Shizune and Misha to come to a solution. Okay, so we have a good bout of options here. So reading my book is like the neutral option. It's ignoring both parties, essentially. Going to talk with Hanako. I mean, like, she clearly kind of wants to be left alone, but at the same time, I just can't resist not talking to the person that doesn't want to be talked to, you know? And waiting for Shizune and Misha to come to a decision. Who knows how long that could last, right? Let's go talk with Hanako. Why not? I still feel bad for making her run away yesterday, so I'd better say something. Hey there, Hanako.
Hiso?
Well, at least she remembers my name. Hey, I just wanted to apologize for yesterday. I didn't mean to startle you or anything. I'm just new here, and I thought I should get to know my classmates. As Hanako looks up at me, I notice her scarring once more. It's a little bewildering that you can barely notice it from across the room, but it's so noticeable from up close.
That's okay. It was my fault.
Nah, that wasn't anyone's fault. It just kind of happened. So, are you waiting for someone? I saw you looking at the door before.
Yes, Lily.
Oh, you mean Lily the blind girl? Hanako only nods in response, and I can't help but wonder if defining people through their disabilities is a fox paw, I don't really know, of the worst kind, or just normal here. I guess that explains why Lily took off after her yesterday. She seems like a nice girl. Are you two friends?
Yes.
As if hoping for Lily to appear, she checks over her shoulder again. I think I'm making her nervous again. I hope I'm not disturbing you right now.
No, that's not it. It's just easier if Lily doesn't come here.
Oh, because it's hard to get around the classroom?
Not really.
Hanako's gaze drifts past my shoulder and towards Shizune. Shizune? Hanako nods again. What about her? Don't they get along? Hanako shakes her head. Clearly this isn't something she wants to talk about. It does make a strange sort of sense, Shizune and Lily not getting along so well. Communication between the two would be all but impossible. It's hard enough talking to Shizune through Misha, even when you can see whose hands are talking. Hanako is so focused on Shizune that I'm the first to notice Lily at the door. Oh, she's here now. Hanako spins around to confirm this. Upon seeing Lily, she moves quickly to the door.
Lily. Hanako, good morning. Is the president here? Yes.
Hanako glances over her shoulder at Shizune again, as if to confirm she can't hear them even though that's impossible.
I suppose I'd best be off then.
Lily's sigh and tone of what seems like frustration makes me raise an eyebrow. I guess there's some kind of enmity between the two. It's intriguing, but that's not really something I'd ask about. I'm sure if they wanted me to know, they would tell me. It's only my 3rd day here. I should be trying to make friends, not finding out why people are enemies. Still, it's a little funny to find out that this school has little feuds, just like my old high school. Even if people are more tolerant of others, they're still going to get on each other's nerves. Hey Lily, how are things? Sorry I made you run off yesterday.
Oh my, is that Hisao? I didn't realize you were here.
It seems that Lily's a little embarrassed about being so frank in front of me.
Sorry, Lily, I thought you realized. No, it's alright, Hanako. Hisao, please don't worry about yesterday. It was just a misunderstanding.
If you say so. I'm still working this place out.
Well then, I think you'll find most people here a lot more forgiving than elsewhere. If you are feeling a little confused, please don't be afraid to ask questions.
Sure, I'll remember that.
Lily?
Lily gives a small nod of acknowledgement.
I'm sorry, Hisao, but we must be off.
Hanako really doesn't look all that comfortable here right now, and Lily seems to be a little embarrassed. Ow, I just hit my arm. I wonder if my apologies really made any impact. Well, it's best to apologize with no effect than to not apologize at all. Mind if I accompany you two? I know I'm kind of pushing it, but Lily hums quietly, still smiling.
I'm sure that we could accommodate you, can't we, Hanako?
She looks at Lily, then at me, and then she freezes, wide-eyed.
Sure. Well then, shall we go?
I'm sure Lily wouldn't do this so easily if she saw how scared Hanako looks, but it can't be helped now. Declining after the deal is sealed would only cause confusion and problems. So we all leave. Lily walks beside the wall, letting her cane gently tap against it every now and then. Hanako comes along right beside her, so close that she's practically half hugging her as they go. Although it must make her walking that much harder, Lily takes it in stride. As we turn the corner of the hallway, something hits me on the chest with the force of a steam train. Hanako shrieks a little and my vision briefly goes black. Ouch! Hey, it's that girl! Opening my eyes, I see a pair of saucer-like green eyes looking up at me. They belong to the perpetrator, a short girl who bumped into me and is now fallen down on the hallway floor. She's wearing a PE uniform and a very worried frown. The former strikes me as a rather strange thing to have on during a lunch break. More striking than that, though, is that she doesn't have legs. Or she does, but they're not flesh and bone. Her pale and very much flesh and bone thighs end in shins, and feet made of some black metallic or plastic-like material. They look disturbingly artificial and unnatural. It almost makes me forget that my chest is hurting. The girl winces a little, rubs her nose, and jumps up.
Oh man, hey, are you alright? I'm sorry about that, really. I wasn't looking where I was going, and you just came out of nowhere. Sorry.
She's looking really apologetic, in the hurt puppy way of looking apologetic. I quickly forget about being angry or anything, since hurt puppies are my weak spot. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I say that, but there's this stinging pain growing inside my chest, and I know that this is about the biggest possible danger for my condition. Don't overexert yourself. Don't forget your medication, and most of all, don't get hit in the chest. I try to rub my solar plexus to chase the pain away, holding my breath in an attempt to hear my heartbeat. Oh no. Yabai. It seems normal.
Hey, should I get a nurse?
The worried, high-pitched voice of the girl snaps me out of it. I stare at her for a few seconds, dumbfounded, until I realize that I probably looked worse off than I really was, doubled over myself and looking all tense. Damn, I'm overly worried about my heart. No need. I'm fine. Managing to say something in response, I pull myself upright, feeling my sore ribs one last time, and take a deep breath. She just knocked the wind out of me. Big time. But it's nothing more than that.
You sure you're okay? I hit you pretty hard.
It's okay. I said I was fine, and nothing's broken. No harm done.
That's good. I was...
Hisao, what happened? She's not quite up to speed for obvious reasons, but she sounds very worried. More than what the situation deserves, really. Someone just bumped into me. Nothing serious, just winded.
Sorry, it's my fault. I was just going to get some stuff and I was kind of in a hurry.
That someone here is Emmy, isn't it? The little girl coughs quietly and shuffles her plastic or metallic feet, looking down at them before saying anything.
Hi, Lily. Hanako?
I guess the girls know each other.
Do please try to be more careful. You might be sturdy enough to endure these sorts of accidents, but there are people who aren't.
The girl blushes and starts to fidget nervously like a little kid caught misbehaving. It's so cute I find myself smiling.
I know that. I was just... I gotta go. Teacher will have my head. I promised to help with printouts, but I went running instead. Sorry, but I've got to change and everything.
Before any of us can say a thing, Emmy's already bolted away, leaving the hallway eerily quiet. Does that kind of thing happen often around here?
There are more rules There are more rules in Yamaku than usual for running in corridors. But that rarely stops Emmy, it seems.
She shakes her head weakly and offers a slight, composed smile.
I don't think there's anything we can do to stop her, I'm afraid. Shall we be off then?
Lily heads off along the hallway, and Hanako hurries after her. The route to the room the two use for tea is fairly simple to retrace. Excuse me? Being still fresh in my mind from yesterday. Lily and Hanako quickly go about the business of making lunch. Before I can even open my small bag of food, Lily's busying herself with her thermos and tea bags as Hanako is setting out both of their lunch boxes. So, this is what you meant by coming here almost every day?
Yes, Hanako and I usually have lunch here. It suits both of us, so we end up using this room quite regularly.
After seeing Hanako's reaction to me over the past couple of days, I can understand why that's a boon. That, and Lily being able to get some quiet away from her class as well. I take my seat last, after Lily's poured the tea for us and sits down. The squad. The more time I spend with these two girls, the more I think they're a perfect foil to Misha and Shizune. Even without a voice, Shizune is direct and brash, and Misha seems to get along with everyone. On the other hand, Lily is soft-spoken and relaxed, while Hanako seems to be the shyest girl I've ever met.
So, how are you faring in Yamaku, Hisao? You seemed a bit flustered before.
Apart from getting lost every now and then, and being crash-tackled outside my classroom, fine, I guess.
You looked pretty hurt before. Are you really okay?
For a brief moment, I consider telling Hanako and Lily about my condition, but then I hold it back. I can't tell why, but for some reason I feel uncomfortable talking about it to these relative strangers, even if they have been pretty friendly. Yeah, it's nothing. I was just a bit startled. Judging from the two girls' expression, I don't think they're buying it. But in what I assume is their way of respecting my privacy, they don't press the matter. I guess that's one of the unwritten rules around here. Don't ask. Even if people's conditions are obvious, like Hanako's, there's still bound to be a story involved. Everyone has things they don't feel comfortable speaking about, and I think everyone here recognizes that. So, how long have you been in this school? You both seem to know your way around pretty well.
Well, I've been here since the start of high school, but only moved into the dormitories a year ago. Hanako joined at the start of high school as well, and moved to the dormitories when she did. Moved to the dormitories when she did, if memory serves me right. That's right, since high school.
So, you've known each other since then?
Since I moved, yes. Hanako lives next door to me, so it's only natural, right? Right.
Yeah, of course. Living next to someone is probably reason enough to befriend them, though I'm guessing that Lily's blindness played a part in it as well. I can't imagine Hanako easily making friends with someone who has to deliberately avoid looking at her scars. When the immediate conversation dried up, we start to eat our lunch. It isn't long before the bells are signaling the end of the break. Like me, the girls pack up their lunches as efficiently as they set them out.
I guess I'd better be off. Are you going to go with Hisao and Hanako?
Hanako looks up at me, and for a second I could see that she's considering skipping class, maybe just to avoid walking to the classroom with me.
Yes.
I don't know what to think of it. Hanako really is delicate to the point of breaking if looked at the wrong way. It makes me a bit nervous too, but I push the feeling aside, trying to be as natural as I can. We should hurry then. Class has already started by the sound of it. Lily nods a farewell as she bends down to take her cane, Hanako and I filing out before her. We walk down the empty halls to our respective classes. As we reach the door to Lily's 3-2 classroom, she turns towards me.
Hisao, thank you for sharing your lunch with us today.
My pleasure, Lily. And with that, we part ways, Lily entering her classroom and leaving Hanako and me to make off on our own. She's still looking like she wants to run away. So, do you really want to go back to class now?
Yes.
Okay then. I feel like I should say something more to her, but it's hard to come up with anything that would be appropriate and safe enough. And Lily was right. The more time we spend out here, the more explaining we have to do. I open the rear door to the class and walk in. The teacher looks up at me and opens his mouth to say something. However, as Hanako follows me in and closes the door, he simply nods to us and continues his lecture. This is the third time that Hanako has had her truancy practically ignored. There's definitely something going on here. We make our way to our seats, and I notice that Misha and Shizune are both missing as well. Excuse me a second. I wonder if it's some form of informal agreement with the staff, or if it's just a perk afforded to the unique students of this school. Oh my gosh. Trying to make as little disturbance as I can, I extract the relevant textbooks from my bag and start catching up. The class goes on quietly. The teacher seems like an okay person despite the weird first impression I got, and the material is relatively interesting. However, the way he teaches is really bizarre. It's as if he expects that everyone is a natural genius. When the final bell sounds, I realize that there's still a lot of time left in the day, and I'm left wondering what to do. It's odd. At the hospital, I had 24 hours a day of free time, but here, filling the considerably shorter hours feels difficult. Everyone else leaves, and I'm left alone with the teacher. Muto is examining the assignment sheets we were working on earlier, marking them with a red ball pen. Raising his eyes from his papers briefly, he notices me and furrows his brow. What is it, Nakai? I forget what voice I gave him. I jump at him addressing me, but I guess it's natural to spark some conversation since there's nobody else around. Nothing. Just thinking about what I'd do after school. The teacher slowly puts the cap on the pen he's holding and arranges his paper into a stack, clacking it against the desk twice. He seems very methodical, and for a brief moment, I'm reminded of Shizune, but the teacher is more unhurried and relaxed, much more routined. You have no plans? No, I consider joining a club, but I don't know what kind of club would interest me. Go observe a meeting of someone else's club. Might pique your interest. I have no fucking clue what voice I gave this guy. I guess. But I don't know how to continue from here. Muto looks at me in a way that makes me quickly want to take the words back to avoid a conversation. But I can't, so I have to forge ahead. I just don't know how to deal with people. I mean, the other students. I'm talking to people and everything, so it's not that I'd be isolated or anything. I just don't know what to think about the disabilities. It's like it feels that I'm being impolite if I pay attention to them, and it's weird to ignore them. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. The teacher scratches his cheek absent-mindedly, looking very unresponsive. These things are only an issue if you make them one. You could talk normally with someone, even if they're blind or something. Try to look behind the superficial. There's not a single student here who isn't just a normal kid behind whatever they might seem at first glance. He says the same thing as Yuko did. I know they're right, but it's hard. How can you not consider, for example, Shizune's deafness, when the only way to communicate with her is to talk through Misha? Or Hanako. It's not like you can ignore her face. But I'm interrupted by the door of the classroom suddenly slamming open. Teacher! Oh god. Misha crashes in, hand straight in an enthusiastic greeting, her voice loud and lively enough to wake the dead from their graves. She starts towards the teacher's desk with her bouncing step, hands energetically swinging with the rhythm. Muto, visibly dismayed at the interruption, and Misha in general, slumps in his chair. Mikado? Misha stops in her tracks and looks around cluelessly, as if she's sensing from his tone that something's wrong, but has no idea what. Yes? We've talked about volume control before. Yes! But she doesn't lower her voice at all, and the teacher just rubs his eyes. So, what is it? We need help. We're running out of supplies for the festival stands. This is a distress. She waves a pink slip of paper she's holding around. So, go get more supplies from the art room. What's the problem with that? Plywood's the problem. Plywood's always the problem. Last time we wanted more, there was only a little, but that time we just took it all and went with that. Now there's like none left, so you know where there is some. I don't understand. How would I know? The president thought that a teacher would know if there's plywood. Was she wrong? Muto looks like he's in great pain, frowning with his entire essence, and Misha doesn't get it at all. Looking at the two of them communicate is terrible, like looking at a man being tortured by drilling his skull open while blasting pop music at full volume at the same time. I'm afraid I have no idea if there's any plywood in the school, let alone where it would be if there was any. Oh, what should I do? Perhaps try to find Mr. Namiya? I'm quite sure he would know where to find everything you need. You'd have to pry them from his cold dead hands, but that's a different matter. I don't have time. We're so busy. She holds her head with both of her hands, looking as despairing as it's possible for a person like her. Without even noticing, she crumples the note she's holding against her hair. I shouldn't even be fetching these things. There's so much to do and we're falling behind the schedule. Muto looks at her gravely and then suddenly smiles. Smiling doesn't really fit his face. I think it'd be better if he didn't. I wonder if you could get temporary help. He switches to staring at me focusedly, with a hard expression as if trying to say, go make some friends. I guess I can give you a hand. You can? Thanks, Hichan. You're really nice. She pauses, does a double take, and then points at me with her finger, yelping, ah, and looking very puzzled. Come to think of it, what's Hichan doing here? Class is over, you should be having fun. We just had a little chat. Oh no, it's not detention, is it? Are you in trouble, Hichan? No, I'm not. Is Hichan in trouble, teacher? No, he's not. Muto sighs deeply, and I feel that I have to help Misha to get her off the teacher's back. So, what did you need? Here's a list. I can try to find the plywood from somewhere if there's none in the art room. She offers me the note she's holding. I take it, hesitating a bit. I said I'd help you, but this has no implications on whether I'm joining the student council or not. Aww. Still, thanks, Hichan. Try to be quick. We're in a stall building streak right now. We must hurry, hurry, hurry. She bounces out of the classroom, leaving me and the teacher looking at each other with something that feels like a silent agreement. Well, there you have it, Nakai. Now you have something to do. Please don't sound so smug. Looking at the list with a number of items ranging from paint to plywood, all written with small, neat handwriting that is undoubtedly Shizune's, I heave a sigh. I'll be going then. Waving the long list limply at the teacher, I exit to the hallway. The classrooms closest to ours are designated belonging to classes 3-1 and 3-2 on the right side, and 3-4 on the left side, each door looking exactly the same. Oh, let me catch my breath. Oh my gosh. Further down the corridor, still with identical doors, are rooms that I didn't think were used for classes. I guess the art room's not a classroom as such. I carefully push open the furthest door and peek in. It's a classroom, but it seems rather badly kept or not in use. Am I in the right space? Desks and chairs are all around the room. A thin layer of dust settled on them. There are some easels in the corner, so at least this looks like the right place. The room's flushed in sunlight with the big windows. The room is flushed in sunlight from the big windows, shadows creeping all over the desks. Specks of dust are dancing in the stagnant air, making the beams of light almost visible. Jokingly, I call into the empty classroom. Anybody Something catches my eye and I stop mid-sentence. Sitting on a desk is a short-haired girl, curiously wearing a boy's uniform, with a fork between her toes and a morsel of food stuck firmly on the end. The odd way of dining seems to be caused by her apparent lack of hands, but her presence is what takes me aback even more. How did I miss her? She's sitting in a corner very still, but I still somehow took her as a part of the home. But I still somehow took her as part of the furnishing or a statue at first glance. I'm not being too observant today as a whole. The girl seems to be frozen in place, staring at me with her huge eyes, like a rabbit in headlights. She's staring at me, her mouth wide open, ready to accept the fork. I'm staring at her, my mouth wide open, suddenly remembering I didn't finish my sentence and trying to think if I should. This weird stalemate keeps us both stunned in silence, punctuated only by the wall clock ticking rhythmically. Hello. The girl stuffs a forkful in her mouth and is now staring at me expectantly while chewing. This is a bit awkward. Hello. I was told to pick up some supplies here. For some festival stalls, I think. I didn't think there would be someone here.
There isn't. That's why I came here too.
She picks up another forkful. Doesn't that mean you're here then? She raises her eyebrows as if she was suspecting my observation was false.
You're pretty observant. I guess it does. But who are you? This girl's pretty straightforward, isn't she?
I'm Nakai. Hisao Nakai. I just transferred in on Monday.
I'm Rin. Tezuka Rin. Rin Tezuka. I won't shake hands with you, but at least we know who we are now. That's very nice.
Her deadpan manner of talking makes it hard to determine whether she's joking about shaking her hands or not. It kind of bothers me. Joking about these matters doesn't feel appropriate at all. While I'm trying to figure out what's appropriate and whether this girl is, she seems to have lost interest in me and is now gazing yearningly back at her food.
Can I continue my lunch? If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. If you need to get your stuff, the supplies are at the back.
Go right ahead, but lunch? School's already over for the day.
What words would you use then? There's no word for a meal you eat after lunch, but before dinner, right? It bothers me very much too, but I don't really know what I should say.
I don't think you're supposed to eat a meal between lunch and dinner to begin with.
But I'm hungry now, and my delicious boxed lunch would go to waste otherwise. I have curry. It's very delicious.
With much decisiveness, Rin once again picks up her fork between her toes, and with at least as much impoliteness, she points it straight at me.
So, Nakai, what brings you to this place?
Like I said, I was told to look for these things.
No, the school. From outside you look fine. Is your problem inside?
I come to a full stop, opening my mouth but not getting a word out. I
can guess. I'm a pretty good guesser. Better than most people.
Rin cuts me off before I can answer her question, or skirt around it somehow. I don't know which I would have done. I froze in front of this issue again. I haven't even told anyone here about my condition, or maybe it's because it hasn't really come up. I do get the feeling that not making issues of this is part of the social code here, as the teacher said. I wonder if the people here could relate. Probably not any better than any normal person could. I can't relate to Shizune's circumstances, or Lily's either. Naturally, while I could go through this in my head, Rin keeps considering what my condition could be, with an overtly contemplative look on her face. She puts her fork between her lips and leans back, looking at the ceiling as if the answer was written up there. A beam of light illuminating her face from the window side, creating a mask of dark shadow on the other side.
I don't think it's anything in your head, and something in your guts would be boringly ordinary, like this lunch of mine, and less delicious. The problem must be in your pants.
This messed up Sherlock Holmes kind of statement and the sheer lack of tact it was delivered with catches me completely off guard. I think I might have reeled back even physically as Rin's eyes widened in revelation and astonishment.
So I was right! There's something wrong with your tackle, isn't there?
Still partially in shock, but recognizing the need to reply something, I spit out the first thing that I can think of. No! Nothing like that. I have a heart problem. Arrhythmia. I said it. More like blurted it out, but I said it. The girl in front of me purses her lips together and glowers at me, looking very disappointed.
How boring. Trouble in the pants would have been much more scandalous.
What's with this reaction? I'm sorry I let you down.
I forgive you. Just, I collect people in a person with, that kind of person would have been great.
Collect people?
People with different problems.
Huh. So you just, go around asking people what's wrong with them?
Pretty much.
I see. With little left to say, Rin resumes her lunch and the conversation dies away, but I keep thinking about what she said. It's the first time I told anyone else about my condition. All the other people have either known about it already or heard about it from someone else, or didn't need to know about it, like every other student here so far. Should I have told her it was a natural part of my introductions? Is it expected of me? Hi, I'm Hisao. I have a very serious heart condition. Is that how I'm supposed to go around introducing myself from now on? As if our disabilities would define us? What a disgusting thought. Hold up. Turn on the fan, because it is getting very humid in here. Or maybe this Tezuka girl just has an unnatural interest in such things. As I walk to the back of the room to pick up the items on Misha's list, a chance opens to study Rin from the corner of my eye. Her hair is a burnt auburn, almost orange and cropped short. Long hair would probably be impossible with no arms. The boy's uniform and the lack of arms make her look very thin, almost scrawny. She's not particularly pretty except for her murky green eyes which flicker restlessly from below her short bangs, even when she eats. The distance and the shadows make it seem like they don't reflect sunlight at all, but instead absorb all of it within them like deep wells. She moves her feet almost as deftly as a normal person would move their arms. However, I can see how this sight could discomfort people, especially while eating. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable at least. I hesitate to think about the word unnatural, but it's too late now, isn't it? I keep searching the cabins and shelves for Misha's things, but after enough time passes, the silence grows too uncomfortable. So I try to force some conversation out of this strange girl. So, do you always eat alone and this late? Or do you get the occasional visitor?
Visitors. Maybe you're my first occasional visitor, but I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof, if she's not horsing around.
Horsing?
She likes to do sports.
Oh. And that's all I can think of to say. Both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bits of her meal to her mouth. I look down at my haul and double check it with Misha's list. It seems I have everything except plywood. So I have all the things now.
That's very nice for you. Don't feel obliged to stay. I was about to take a nap anyway. You need to do whatever you're gonna do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping.
I'm not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I think I have to be going. I'll catch you around, Tezuka.
You can call me Rin. I feel that our relationship is at this point good enough to warrant this much.
I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hisao.
Then you are.
Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but that intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. It's like she's not actually looking at me at all. She blinks a couple times, and I can't figure out why a pause like this just popped between us out of nowhere.
See you later, Hisao.
There's something like a tiny smile there in her face. Maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself, "What an intriguing person." From inside, I hear a muffled sing-song voice.
I heard that. What did she hear?
I jump at the sudden appearance of Misha, who I had not heard approaching despite that completely I can't talk. I've been going at this for so long now. Who I had not heard approaching despite the completely empty hallway. Somehow she had gotten to jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about a global feminist conspiracy, but I pushed that thought aside. Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof as she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention, but Misha's visibly excited.
No, wait, more importantly, who's in there? There's no club meetings today.
She tries to curiously peek past me, even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. What are you doing here?
It took so long that we had to come check out what's wrong. That's no good, Hee-chan.
She wags her finger at me scoldingly.
I found plywood, but everything else is still missing because you're tardy.
Oh, sorry. I got the things here. Was just gonna bring them.
I think you were up to some mischief, Hee-chan. Who is in there with you, I wonder?
Misha signs something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes her way past me and opens the door to the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she's experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property by sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed, she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from the slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders, from suppressed rage, I'm sure. Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a few deep breaths, adjusts her glasses, and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. Maybe she did blow up, but I can't understand it. She shoots a very loud... Man, I'm just all over the place right now. She shoots a very loaded stare at me too, as if it was somehow my fault that Rin is sleeping on one of the tables. I hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness.
Hello.
Rin's voice comes from the other side of the door, and it takes a few eye blinks to realize she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with a half-interested, half-sleepy face.
Hello. Miss Tezuka, what do you think you're doing? You absolutely are not permitted to use school property for such, disgraceful activity. It sure is suddenly crowded in here. I didn't know I was this popular.
It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events. At any rate, she ignores Shizune/Misha's scolding, so they have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulder, points at Rin, and makes some quick signs.
Popularity aside, please don't do that anymore. Anyway, how's your project going? Will it be done for the festival?
Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure Shizune's cold stare is putting on her.
I keep wondering about that myself too. And? We'll think harder about it.
As Misha signs her reply to Shizune, her face turns into an unsatisfied frown.
Miss Tezuka, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch on it.
Rin nods assertively.
We'll think about it more seriously.
Oh.
We'll think more seriously.
Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizune doesn't, not even after translation. She just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowns thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo.
How rude. It's true though. I must finish my project before the weekend. There'll be dire consequences if I don't. The end of the world as we know it. Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future.
I'm about to ask what project she has and what are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom.
Since you have nothing to do, would you give me a hand? This paint can doesn't really fit into my bag, but I need it.
She kicks lightly at a huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table she was sitting and sleeping on. It lets out a dull clang. Being the gentleman I am, I naturally pick it up. Heavy.
Yeah, sure. Where do you need to take it? Away.
And with that, she takes off to the hallway. Me and the paint can following, since there's little choice for either of us. The hallway is quiet and empty now with Shizune and Misha gone, so we two leave towards the stairwell at the other end. Every 10 or 15 or 20 steps, I have to change the can from one hand to another because the tin handle cuts into my palm. At least it keeps my arms from tiring too fast. Rin strolls on beside me with an uneven pace that I have trouble matching, or maybe I'm walking weird because of the extra weight. It seems one of us is constantly walking too slow or too fast, and I can't figure out which. 2 flights of stairs below, Trouble appears in the form of the head nurse and his fox-like grin. Ah, Mr. Nakai, what a happy coincidence. Tezuka too, of course. He nods courteously to Rin, who does not acknowledge him back. Then he turns to me, because obviously it's me who he had some business with. There's something I forgot to mention on Monday. I nod and wait impassively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. It's about your medications. Since you haven't been that long on your current medications, there might be some unexpected side effects, which might require adjusting dosages or even changing to another kind of medication. So, we'll do a few tests regularly, but what I'd want is for you to keep an eye on everything in your condition that feels off, if you get what I mean. Nausea, headache, anything, and come see me if something happens. Alright. So, how are ya? Everything's fine? I give up and drop the can to the floor before answering him. Apparently this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then I realize how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too. Teachers and students here. My parents, visitors, nurses, doctors at the hospital. Everyone seems to be concerned about that. It's natural for a hospital, not so much for a school. Except this school. This is a small school, and both the student base and the faculty seem to be very tightly knit. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. And this is not the kind of school that gets transfer students too often. The thought sends shivers up my spine, but I give a generic answer anyway. What did I say? Did I say anything? I just didn't say anything, okay. That's great! Also, one other thing. My sources tell me that you've been at neither the school track nor even the pool, so I'd like to know if you've taken up exercising as I asked. Of course I haven't, but his way of inquiring gives me the feeling that I should have been running my ass off on the track since the very first day. You have people spying on me? Not so much. I just happen to know a few people, but that's not the issue here, so don't try to slip out of it. Well, I was actually just doing some improvised weightlifting as an exercise. I picked up and lifted the can up and down a few times like some sad ambition of a bodybuilder, even though it's weighing down on my arms pitifully, painfully. The stupid grin disappears from his face for a second, and then comes back like it was never gone. Tezuka, would you give us a sec? The nurse grabs me by the shoulder without waiting for Rin's permission, which he didn't need in the first place, and drags me aside. When I told you to get exercise, I wasn't joking. I understand that you're still in your first week and all, but please don't ignore the importance of this. The reason I'm coming down this hard on you is that the habits are not easy to form. The more you slip and postpone, the harder it'll be. It's the same with everything, like dieting. Can you promise to me to be more serious about this from now on? Yes. Listen, man, I don't want to die, alright? I can guarantee you, I don't want to die. Yeah, I promise. Definitely. He studies me for a moment and then shrugs, smiling again. Okay, that's more like it. If you go to the school track tomorrow morning, you'll meet my spy, who probably has no qualms offering consultation to you if you don't. who has no qualms offering consultation to you if you want a jog of it. Consultation? See you around. He leaves with a wave of his hand and no answer, and I walk to Rin, who's been waiting idly, leaning against the hallway wall and staring at the pale lighting fixtures in the ceiling. Even when I approach, she doesn't move her eyes off them. Are you getting medications for your heart thingy? Were you listening? It comes out more accusatory than I intended, accidentally lashing out on her. But even so, I don't really want to start talking about it. I just met her. I don't know her. It's not her business. The nurse seems to be happily ignorant about confidentiality, too, talking about that kind of thing in public. But it's not Ren's fault, is it? I look up at her, suddenly feeling a bit guilty. But Ren is just staring past my shoulder quizzically, her head tilted like a bird's. I don't know why this is so hard for me. It feels like there's some inexplicable lock that prevents me from being more upfront about this. Yeah, they're from my heart. Will they make you better? No, not really. They just make me a little less worse. Ren keeps looking at me for a while longer, and she neither says anything further, nor displays any kind of emotion I could discern. See, here's the thing, though, right? When you really think about it, most of the students we've met so far have physical disabilities. You know, Shizune's deaf and mute. Lily's blind. Hanako is, physically scarred up. Obviously, Rin here has no arms. Emmy has no legs. It's all physical stuff. But, I have, a legitimate disease that, if even put off balance slightly, could put my life at severe risk here. And even then, I'm still on a shit ton of medications. I feel like our guy here has a bit of a different situation than most of these people. But, obviously not to say that theirs is any less, how would you say, effective, or what would be the right word for it? Important, I guess. I'm thankful that she doesn't. I think I'm still not quite used to all this. At the hospital it was easy, but I still haven't sorted my feelings about having to live a normal life with this disability. We leave the main building, and Rin leads us onwards towards the dorm. We stop at the small patch of greenery in front of the dorm building. The dorm is built on a slightly elevated ground, with a wall and a few trees that everyone has to circle around every time they come or go. It's probably the only inconvenient design in the school. The entire wall, made up of the same kind of bricks as the building itself, has been covered with some sort of painting. Most of it is still mere sketches, quick lines drawn with black and white against the gray plastering that covers almost the entire length of the wall, but some places look a bit more finished. There are human faces and legs and hands, and I can't quite say what the painting as a whole might portray. Stacks of what seem to be paint cans are arranged in piles on the ground besides the wall.
See, the left side is really high. See, the left side is hardly off the ground yet. It's because I couldn't get in the mood yesterday, so I gave up and went to meditate instead. Then it was suddenly morning. I have to work on it, but the guys from the art class are helping with the negative spaces and base surfaces whenever, which is a problem. It's easier to paint big areas if there's a lot of people with hands. The reach is better, and it's faster too.
She goes on a tangent of a tangent, waving a little with her arm, or whatever of it there actually is, to demonstrate, even though I got the point already. The white cotton of her sleeve flaps around, and it makes me think it could look sadder than it does. But it makes me feel out of place, like almost every tangible manner of the student bases. Special properties has in the past few days. What? But it makes me feel out of place, like almost every tangible reminder of the student bases special properties has in the past few days. This girl doesn't notice my dreary feelings, of course, or the fact that she lost me a while ago already, and just keeps on blabbering.
So that's why I'm trying to figure out if there's something I need to figure out, and then figure that out before it's too late and all hope is lost.
Why would the hope be lost?
Because paint has to be painted, and then it has to dry, and then it has to be painted over with another kind of paint. It takes time.
She finally stops, apparently thinking she made some kind of a statement that makes sense. I think it's best to start from the top. So, this is your project? You did this?
Yes.
All of it?
Yes.
Nice, but... I stumbled with my words, suddenly feeling like I've walked straight into the minefield of political incorrectness.
It's okay, you can say it. I probably won't get mad.
I blush really hard. I don't really know what the right thing to say is, if any. It feels like I'm way more sensitive than Rin is, though. This is really awkward.
Don't you want to ask?
How do you paint without hands?
See, I'm an easy person to talk to, right? With my feet.
I almost guessed that already, but isn't that hard to do?
You're good at guessing. Anyway, I don't think it is. Maybe I'm used to it by now.
I can't get my mind around the fact that she could be an artist, but seeing how adept she was with using her feet to eat, I figure painting might not be a problem either. Neither of us has anything more to add to the subject.
The afternoon light works pretty well. I was afraid it would look too flat, but it's not like that after all. I think it's actually pretty interesting. I wanted to see what it looks like in dim light. Do you think it's flat?
Well, paintings tend to be flat.
Not like that flat. You know, flat. Like some people are. No substance, no meat where there should be some.
I know a few girls...
I know a few girls who...
Okay, I get it. But I couldn't really tell. I'm not that good with art. I can't name many artists or artistic terms. So I don't really have anything to say. It's not exactly well endowed, is it? Rin shrugs her shoulders at that, saying, "Suit yourself," without saying it, and looks up at the sky as if trying to look for something up there.
I didn't think I'd get any actual work done, but if you give me a hand with the paints, I could do a little before it gets too dark. I wanted to get a halogen lamp like the ones they have at the sports track, but there aren't any.
Rin sure is quick to recruit my help, as was Shizune. It really makes me feel that the festival is such a big project that every pair of hands is needed. Why not? I'm not really sure if I can be of any help, though.
It's just mixing some paints. You can do that. Probably. Do you have motor control problems, like, you know, those people who have some? Cerebral palsy, maybe?
Not that I know of.
I get it. Hard thinking has nothing to do with that.
She gives me a sly look for no reason. No, it doesn't.
Let's do it then.
She sits on an empty wooden box and very naturally picks up a wide brush between the toes of her right bare foot. I open a few of the cans and pour some of the contents into shallow bowls for mixing. The thick paints flow lazily from the can to the bowl, like syrup. I mix them, creating funny, hypnotic-looking swirl patterns that melt quickly into each other to form a new monotone hue. Rin sets to work, every now and then asking me for a hand with something or the other. Finding different brushes is easy enough, but mixing the paints to be the exact tone this girl has apparently seen in her head is a frustrating ordeal. She wants precision down to the last millimeter before she's satisfied, but her instructions are obscure at best.
Add half a splash of green.
I crouch down to pick up the can of bright green.
The other green. This green.
I carefully pour some of the other green paint into the mixing bowl.
No, that's almost a whole splash. More white. Is green a good color to add?
No idea. You're the artist here. A hint of smile appears in the corners of her mouth.
Do you lack an opinion?
No, it's just that I have no idea.
It's okay, because I just got an idea. Add more white.
With this exclamation, I pour a minuscule amount of white into the bowl and mix it. It looks slightly whiter.
That's not good. It has to be like the color when you wake up and you know that you saw the meaning of your life in your dream, but you can't remember it. Maybe it's yellow.
Despite the impossibility of mixing a color like the change of seasons or any other nonsense that's been imposed on me, I found myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. Seeing a painting being born on the plastered wall feels like magic. I spend the moments I have between mixing paintings crouched down on the pavement and just looking at her work. It feels slightly intrusive at first, like breaking some imaginary intimacy, but Rin doesn't seem to mind the least bit. Maybe it's just in my head. Her entire presence emits a completely different air as she patiently works the details, adding layers of paint on top of each other, on top of other layers of paint, steadily moving her foot across the wall to add new shapes. When I manage to produce a passable mixture of paint, the rare smile on her face is oddly rewarding. Apart from the few words when discussing paint mixes, neither of us says a word for the longest time. And even those short discussions soon evolve into a shorthand, both of us developing and using weird impromptu code words for various paints and hues, as if there was some need to conserve words and breath and sound. We stay there late into the evening and until it becomes too dark to paint properly. Alright. Alrighty guys, and that is going to end this episode. So we're going to save here. Boom, there we go. So, interesting episode. We mostly spent it with Rin, and we did get a good little time with Lily and Hanako. So, I'm kind of wondering, right? Because obviously we haven't been completely introduced to all of the characters quite yet, but it does make me wonder, are we actually going to end up joining any clubs? And if we are, do we get to choose which club we join? So, I guess we'll just have to see, huh? Let's see, what is it? Oh, current scene, the running girl, current music track. So I'm guessing next we're going to meet Emmy, because this morning we're going to check out the track behind the school. And obviously we know that Emmy is a athlete, despite not having legs. Now, Emmy was actually the character that got me into playing the game after seeing a sort of fan art of her while just scrolling through social media. So I guess we can thank this series to her, huh? But so far, yes, I'm enjoying it very much. But that's gonna be it for this time. If you guys enjoyed, then make sure to leave a like on the video. If you want to see more of this series, or if you like what you see on my channel, then it would be awesome if you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you can be notified when I post a new video. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Don't rain on me.